Hey everyone, in this video I will be showing you how to take a CSV file and convert it into a synchronized WordCruncher book. Now I've formatted this CSV file or this Google Sheet in a way that I can convert it into a WordCruncher book. A couple of the requirements are that it has a couple columns like this, level with a colon and then book, and then level with a colon chapter, and that just gives the book, like in WordCruncher, a table of contents. And if you're using something that's not necessarily like a table of contents, like a book, then you could just use one column, for example, like level paragraph or level sentence, and that would allow you to get kind of a table of contents, but not necessary. And then I have two column headers, so I've got text English and text German. And remember that this is very important so that the converter will know what you're wanting to give it. And then everything else, these are just some sample verses that I have available, and we can be able to convert them, convert this file into something usable by WordCruncher. So there's a few steps to this. The first step is that I'm going to save this out from Google Sheets. The reason I'm not using Microsoft Excel, is because Microsoft Excel is not Unicode compatible. What that means is characters that are not the basic characters, like the O here that has two dots and umlaut above it, are not going to be recognized. They're going to end up being gibberish. And so when you're using multiple languages, I highly suggest using Google Sheets because it will not mess up any of the characters that are outside of A to Z, 0 through 9. All right, so I'll go to File, and then I'll go to Download, and I'm going to select comma separated values, a CSV file. And then that's going to open up, and I'm just going to put this in my Synchronized eTax folder and save it. All right, and it takes a little bit of time, but it should save onto your computer. And then I'm going to open up a new tab. I'm going to go to wordcruncher.com/tools/synchronized eTax. I'll put this in the comments so that you can get to it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up and get that. I'm going to just clean up the name real quick so that it's a little cleaner. And then what I'll do is here, it's just pretty straightforward. I'm going to drag and drop that file. And what's going to happen is it's going to prompt me to download two separate files. So one is for the English, and I'm going to click Save. And then another one for the German, and I'll click Save. All right, so if you click and open up these, you'll notice it's in what's called WordCruncher's XML, and it's added all of the necessary information that you need in order to get this into WordCruncher. It's the same for the German as well. If I open that up, I've got basically the same thing in the German. It's added the verse numbers, chapters, book information, and then this is the crucial key to allow it to synchronize. None of this is incredibly important for those that are just interested in getting a book synchronized, but I did want to highlight it really quickly. Then what you'll need is you'll need the WordCruncher Indexer. So if you have that installed, then great. If not, then I encourage just go to the home page of WordCruncher and then scroll down and get the apply, click on the Apply Now button and just fill it out, and you'll be prompted in your email to get an installation for this program. It's separate from the WordCruncher viewer, so if you don't have that, just go there. So we'll click on this index button, and I'll select those two files that I have right here. I can select both of them at the same time and then click Open, and then it will show that I've started an index. Now if I go ahead and open this up again, what that did is it created an ETBU file for the English and the German files. These now can be added into WordCruncher. So if I bring WordCruncher over and I click on File, Open Book, and I will just add it to my WordCruncher user library. Sometimes people get confused and they'll select like Dead Sea Scrolls or WordCruncher user library, but it needs to go into your WordCruncher user library because everything here up above is for bookstore only stuff. It's restricted. So, but we are allowed to add anything that we want to the WordCruncher user library. So I'm going to click Options, and I'm going to select Add Book. All right, and then I just need to go back to my synchronized eTax folder, and I'm going to select both of these folders, these files, these ETBU files, and they are now added to my bookshelf right here. So I will double click on this one, and I will also go back to File, Open Book, and I'll double click onto German. So now I have these two files, and you'll notice based on my Excel sheet that I had originally, I've got this nice table of contents that is showing me this kind of thing. But you'll notice immediately that they don't synchronize quite yet. And the reason is because that's a book option that we need to set first. So what we'll need to do is we'll first select this first book, the English version, and go to Book, Options, and then down here is synchronization. There's a couple options. Here is reposition other books where possible and allow other books to reposition this book. So we want to have both because if we scroll on the English, we want the German to scroll. And if we scroll on the German, we want the English to scroll as well. So we select both and click OK. And then we select the German book, make sure that it's active. You can tell that it's active if it's a darker blue than this. And then do the same thing, go to Book, Options, and then select those two synchronizations there. Okay, so now it might be also nice to know if you go to Book Options, and I'm just going to click on Verses, that now we can see numbers right next to the number to the sentences. So the way that synchronization works is that as you're scrolling down, once it gets to 2, then it will bring it down. So it's a little bit of a, in some ways it's a little annoying where you need to just get used to always having the line up at the top so that it aligns correctly. But before I leave you, I'm going to show you one little quick thing, because often you're not just reading the book, you're also searching, and you want to be able to find those. So for example, if I want to search for something like darkness, let's I'll just open up my search window and I'll type in darkness like that. And so I've got all the options, or the 3 different times that darkness occurs in verse 2, in verse 4, and in verse 5. So the problem here is, however, that I only see the English. But what I can do is I can double click on that, and I'm going to minimize some of these windows right here. And then I can press Alt-N, and it can show me where they are. And so that's one way that I can easily navigate. Now this is obviously a very small book, and so you can't really see my me scrolling through and changing from several pages down or something. But this is super helpful to know the shortcuts Alt-P and Alt-N. When you type in Alt-P and Alt-N, then it brings you down to the next search result. And so that can be super helpful as you're trying to look over and say, okay, here's verse 5, and I've got the word darkness here, and then I can look for the same word here in the German as well. That's all there is to it. I know it's several steps, and I'm going to just review them real quick as so that you're familiar with the process. So the first step is to, of course, you'll want to have a CSV file that you go and you file, and then you save it as a CSV. make sure that the formatting's right, and then come to the Synchronized eTax webpage. Drop your CSV file down onto this page, and you'll be prompted with 2 download files. Sometimes browsers will tell you that the browser is trying to send multiple downloads, and that's a safety warning, but you will want to allow it so that you can get both files. Then you'll want to use the indexer to index both files, and then add them to WordCruncher, and then change the book options on each book to allow them to synchronize. So there's a lot of steps, but once you get used to it, you'll be able to make a bunch of synchronized books without too much problems. If you have any questions, just let me know and at wordcruncher@byu.edu, and I'd be happy to help you. All right, have a great day.